Welcome to the aftermath of sexual trauma. I'm Shantae Dent. Today's episode, titled, Are You Triggered Again? I imagine some of us ask ourselves that question, or we may even have someone else asking us that question. I believe the question is asked for a number of reasons. If we're asking ourselves, perhaps we're questioning if we've truly recovered. We see, we hear, we experience, and we're triggered. And we wonder, or we ask ourselves, am I being triggered again? And we may even follow up with, when will I stop being triggered? When will the triggers end? And if someone else is asking you that question, it may come from a place of frustration. Let's just be honest here. Everyone doesn't know how to support someone who's being triggered from sexual violation. And they may wonder, are you being triggered again? I thought you recovered. I thought you healed. I thought you were better. So I want to discuss this subject matter because I want to bring clarity and a little bit of understanding to anyone who finds themselves in this category, questioning themselves or having others question them. We often talk about the shame that is experienced from someone who's been sexually violated. And I feel that shame can creep up in the midst of being triggered. Or embarrassment can creep up in the midst of being triggered, especially for the strong ones. We feel like we have worked through our pain, we have processed, we have extended forgiveness, we have released offenses, yet we encounter a situation and we are triggered. Well, I'll speak on this from my own experiences, as I often do. I confidently raise my hand. I raise both hands in the air and confidently proclaim that I have recovered. I have overcome. And yes, there are times that I am triggered. Thankfully, not as often as I used to be. But because we live in a world where there are many unpredictable scenarios, anything can come up that can cause one to be triggered. And typically it is anything or anyone that reminds you of your violation. It could be a song that you hear or a vehicle, a color, or hearing of someone else's sexual violation. And even if their assault in terms of the details does not resemble yours, you can still experience a moment of feeling triggered. And if you've experienced the triggers, you know they manifest differently. Sometimes we can feel anxious or depressed. A lot of emotions will manifest when we remember. And I would never tell anyone what will cause them to remember. Again, everyone's situation is different. There are a number of factors that contribute to someone being triggered. I want to focus on this question. You're being triggered again? So there is a level of frustration that we can experience, especially when it has been years past our violation or years past the core of our healing experience. And we feel as if we should never have those moments. And I've said before, we are human beings. We're not robots. We're human beings. We have feelings. We have emotions. And I am thankful for the feelings, for the emotions. And I also realize that we can experience what we need to experience and create a plan that will help us get back on track and grounded so that we can function properly in a healthy manner. I often share with individuals the importance of having a toolbox. And I believe toolboxes are important because when we are triggered, sometimes we cannot think rationally. We may be a bit frantic, and we will sometimes turn to coping mechanisms that are not healthy. And speaking of coping mechanisms, I like to use the term overcoming mechanisms. I used to use coping mechanisms, and then I thought, if this is a coping mechanism, it's going to help me cope like in the moment, and it doesn't allow me to go through a process of learning how to experience healing or how to overcome. So I like to coin the term an overcoming mechanism. So that, for example, if I'm coping, I may turn to alcohol, or the alcohol, excessive drinking will cover up my pain. If one is triggered and they don't want to relive their trauma, they may do something that is destructive. How do I cope in this moment? And again, I just want to tweak the term and say, how do I overcome in this moment? I'm being triggered. I am triggered. How do I overcome this moment? I just feel like putting a twist on those words does something. It does something for me. I don't know. I can't speak for everyone else, but it does something for me. How can I overcome this moment? So when I create my toolbox, I think of what brings me peace, what brings me into a place of relaxation. And I have these items in mind ahead of time so that in the event of a triggering moment, of an emergency, I have an idea of what I can do in order to process being triggered again in a healthy manner. So I pray, I talk to God about it. I share, I express what I feel. I will call someone near and dear to me who I can confide in, who can support me and express empathy regarding where I am in that moment. I often journal. I love to journal. I love to write and express my feelings, no filter, just here it is, raw, uncut, let it out. I love to work out. I love to go and release any forms of stress, just working out, being out there in nature or on a treadmill. I will sometimes listen to music, something positive and just inspirational music. I cried as well. I will let it out in tears, no shame. I'm releasing in a healthy way all of the emotions that I don't want to, sit with forever. And I say forever because, again, when we're experiencing a trigger, I don't believe it's healthy to ignore it and act as if it's not happening. Oh, no, I'm fine. I put in the work. I've been to therapy. I've overcome. I'm good. Faking does not assist anyone in their progress, in their journey, in their lifestyle of emotional health. So we do want to slow down and sit with, hey, what's going on? Have that moment of self-evaluation. What's going on? I'm feeling some kind of way. I need to slow down and re-examine what's going on in my mind and in my heart and process in a healthy way so that I can continue on, experiencing this beautiful life that I live. So other things that I do, depending on where I am, again, I said I'll listen to music. Sometimes I might just break out with some kind of dance, just any type of movement, okay? Or I'll go to the Word, I'll read the Bible, I'll begin to meditate on scriptures that apply to my current situation. I also reflect on how far I have come, because being triggered will sometimes make us feel like failures, make us feel as if we're crazy. Again, question why we are even triggered in the first place. I thought I was better. I thought I had gotten over that. I'll also look to a physical item sometimes. Again, something that represents peace or freedom. So it could be a photo of someone, or maybe it's a teddy bear. I don't put limits on anything that one could add to their toolbox. So that's a little tidbit of hopefully something helpful that you can implement if you are being triggered and feeling like you're backed up against the wall, and you feel like you're finding it difficult to process those moments. Creating a toolbox may be helpful, so you feel as if you're equipped to work through that painful moment. And for those who question the survivor, you question the victim, you wonder, why are you being triggered again? And it may be annoying. And I do understand that some people are not equipped to support the victim. And if that's you, that's fine. Own it. And in a respectful manner, just show some type of support. Again, there are so many aspects when it comes to that process of overcoming the pain of sexual assault. And everyone does not understand the intricate details, nor do they want to understand. But if someone does choose to confide in you, or if you are in the vicinity of someone who is triggered, I would urge you to be available as best as you can, or communicate your stance. I am sorry that you're being triggered. I want to help you. I don't feel equipped. Be honest, and genuine if you don't understand, versus judging. Why are you being triggered again? That frankly, it's not helpful. Even if you don't understand the why behind it, I would encourage individuals to be careful with their words and how they respond. I often say I am and have been blessed and extremely thankful to have a strong support in my corner, in my home with my spouse, and in my inner circle, my family and some friends who are there for me. And I know there's some out there who don't have that type of support. So I've mentioned before, there are agencies that can, be available to help individuals get through those moments of being triggered. And wherever your support comes from, at the end of the day, know that you're not alone. And if the first person you go to you don't feel that they're equipped to help you, don't be discouraged. Just go. Know that there's someone else, or there's some other place that you can go to for the help that you need. Now, if someone does come to you and they confide in you because they're triggered, there is an acronym that RAINN, RAINN, RAINN. They use this acronym and I love it. It's simply talk. So if someone confides in you, talk. T. Tell them thank you for telling them. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for sharing with me. A. Ask how you can help. L. Listen without judgment. K. Keep supporting. And this acronym is used, this is helpful in terms of how you respond if someone shares that they've been sexually violated. And I believe you can apply the same acronym if someone shares that they're being triggered. And lastly, I have to mention this every time I talk about triggers. Triggers do not label you as someone who has not experienced healing. Triggers label you as a human being who's not afraid to be a human. being. We often say sometimes people appear fake, that they don't really deal with whatever they're experiencing. And clearly there are layers to that whole statement. But I want to specifically encourage someone who feels that they were set back, that you think you've experienced a setback because you were triggered, or you think you're going crazy because you were triggered. I just want to remind you that you're not going crazy. This is not a setback. This is a memory. This is an experience that caused you to remember. And it's with any other area. Think about it. If we have a loved one who passed away, it can be years later. 30 years later, right? You see a picture of that individual and the memories flow. And you may cry and you may experience various kinds of emotions because you are a human being with a memory, with a brain that's functioning, and you remember. So it's with any experience in life, any situation in life. When the memories come, we feel it. And my encouragement would be to reach into your toolbox and implement a healthy tool that will help you process that painful moment, that will help you process and look back and say, I overcame a trigger that would have normally led me to drinking alcohol and getting crazy drunk. Or I overcame a trigger today that would normally take me into this downward spiral of, deep depression, or cutting, or cussing somebody out, or going to the store to shop knowing I don't really need anything, or overeating, overindulging in some unhealthy food because I'm being triggered. I just want you to know that there are options when you're triggered, and it's helpful when we can create that list, create a toolbox, and have something healthy to turn to so that we can overcome. And hey, in the event that you are triggered and you do find that you have acted out in an unhealthy way, even so, it's not the end of the world. Even if you did go out and drink crazy and do something that makes you go like, oh, why did I do that? I was triggered and man, I gave into it. You know what? That's a part of being a human being too. We're living, we're learning, and we're growing. Do not beat up on yourself, but continue to take in information that will help you grow and get stronger. And I'm convinced that it's not even about the pace per se, but it's about your position and your perspective. So your position, for example, is in the midst of my triggers, whatever comes my way, my position is I will not cave in and I will not throw in the towel. I may feel a little weak at times. I may even stumble, but I will not quit. I will not give up. Your perspective can be, man, that trigger nearly took me out. I didn't even know if I would be able to bounce back. But I choose to have a perspective that believes in myself. In my heart of hearts, I tell myself it doesn't matter what you experience on any given day. You are more than a conqueror, and you are stronger than those attacks that come your way. Being triggered may be frustrating at times. I get it. And remember, being triggered reminds you that you are a human being, and it's all about how you handle the triggers, not necessarily about the fact that you were triggered. Don't let anyone label you or belittle you if you were triggered by any experiences. And please don't belittle yourself or be mad at yourself. Love yourself. Take good care of yourself. You're doing good. You're doing great. Don't give up and don't throw in the towel.